Guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's lesson we are looking at putters and more about which one is going to be suited for you, because there are lots of models out there and it can be a little bit of a minefield when you go and buy a putter. So I'm going to give you a little bit of advice on which sort of putter you should be looking for when you go and make that purchase. Let's get stuck in right now. As we all go and buy a putter, there is plenty available out there, and obviously there's price ranges going from £10 all the way up to the high hundreds of pounds, and whatever your budget is, it's completely fine. What we need to do is get the right putter for our stroke though, and there's a couple of factors that we need to take into account when we're buying our putter. Firstly, that one, budget. Whatever that budget is, try and find something that will fit in line with that. From there then, there's two more important factors that we need to take into account. Number one is our personal preference. What are we looking for? When we look down, are we looking for something that's going to help us get a lot of alignment? Or are we looking for something that's going to be really minimalistic? Some people like that minimal feel to a putter. Some people like the really big looking spaceship like ones at the moment. Other people go somewhere in between. And then secondly, is that putter going to be fit towards our stroke? Let's take a look at three putters I've got here on show and see how they would all fit into those brackets. So the first putter we're going to be looking at is quite the minimal, traditional looking putter here. We've got the Mizuno M-Craft putter, and as we can see, not a lot going on with it really. It looks very much like a Ping Answer, a Scotty Cameron. We've got a very small alignment aid. It's got your standard neck on it, and just generally looks very classic, very sleek. So for the person who is looking for a little bit of minimalistic view when they look down on their putter, the Mizuno is going to be something, or a putter in this style is going to be something like that. What we would see when we put it down, it doesn't offer loads of help towards aiming the putter, but we do get that little bit of line that if we were using a line on our golf ball, it would aid us in aiming it in that point. Okay, so the blade here, as we look down, very minimal in its looks. We can see it's a little bit longer from heel to toe, but we have very little depth from face to the back of the club here. So we still have that little bit of perimeter weighting, but it's not going to be as forgiving as the other two models. What we see is a small little white line here. In some cases we'd either have a dot on top, or we wouldn't even have any alignment. Like I say, very, very minimalistic. So for the player who's looking down and doesn't want any fuss, is confident that they're able to control the club face, because we see a little bit more toe hang in it, and knows that generally they're going to hit that sweet spot all the time, this is the putter that can sort of free you up and just let you trust your stroke a little bit more and know that you're good enough to get the ball rolling how you want to. And we would see hopefully putts like that just dropping in each time, but this is that one that's very minimalistic, probably the least forgiving out of them all, but really has that classic, sleek, gorgeous look about it. Also, what we would generally find with a putter like this does have changeable weights, some others don't, but generally they're more of a lighter feeling putter. So if you're someone who's playing on fast greens all the time, maybe a lighter putter could be something that helps you a little bit more. So if you fall in that camp of minimal looks and don't really want a lot of fuss, and you're looking for a bit of a lighter putter, you don't really feel like you want the big weight in your hands, something like the blade putter would be really good for you. That's not bad, holding it for the first attempt there. Also, that second factor that I talked about, would the stroke fit the putter that you're about to buy? And what we can do with every putter is just balance it on our fingers like so, and we can see that the toe of the club now actually hangs down at nearly a 45-degree angle here when I'm holding it. So that in turn would show that as I'm making my putting stroke, each stroke works on an arc. This would have a rate of closure greater than some other putters, because there's a bit more weight here in the heel, so the toe is going to be a little bit lighter and it's going to be closing over a little bit more. So if you're someone who, when you feel that you're putting, you feel that you're getting the face to really open and close throughout your stroke, something like the blade putter with that little bit more toe hang is going to be suited towards you. So again, very minimal looks when we look down, quite light in the hands, but then we feel as we're going through it we get that opening and closing as we're going through it there. And that would be the blade putter. There's many different styles out there. There's many different necks that we've got as we're going through. But if you're that person who wants minimalistic features and you've got more of the arc stroke and you feel that you're getting that face to open and close, something with a toe hang will be something that you're looking at. Let's take a look at putter number 2 and see how that could benefit your putting stroke. Okay, so the second putter we're looking at sits somewhere in between that minimalistic look and the more futuristic look of like the spaceship style ones that we would say. It'd be something like this, a little bit of a mallet putter here. Again, it's a Mizuno one, a slightly different neck on there. What you would notice when you're looking at loads of putters, there's so many different necks the way they can sit into, and one that you look down might look great and then a standard slant neck might look totally awkward to you. So choosing that is all down to that personal preference when you look down on it. And I think as well, when you pick a putter up generally straight off the rack, as soon as you put it down, you'll know whether you like that putter. You know, you put it behind the golf ball, it'll look clean to you, your eye will suit it, the weight will feel right in your hands, but generally that is just that personal preference again. But when we go here in sort of the middle range, what we tend to see now is a little bit more alignment aid, where we start to get a little bit more of a longer line on there. So if you're someone who's struggling with alignment, you feel like you might need a little bit of help, something like a mallet is going to be where you would want to position yourself. Also, what we will notice, it will feel ever so slightly heavier, and also there's going to be a little bit more forgiveness. Unlike the blade, there's not a lot going on with the blade, but with the mallet we start to see a slightly bigger head size, so a lot of the putters would have weight distributed round the sides and towards the back to make the moment of inertia a little bit bigger, which means basically if you're not hitting the middle of the face, it's still going to generally go its distance. It's just going to have that little bit more forgiveness. As well, it might be suited to a particular stroke. What we will see when we balance this one on our fingers now, it's not quite hanging as much as we saw from the blade style putter. Again, it's still at an angle, it's about 20 degrees as where we saw the blade hanging at about 45 degrees, but this is going to be aimed at someone who doesn't have as much arc in their stroke and isn't letting the face open and close as much. So if you're someone who feels like you want a little bit of forgiveness, you want a little bit of help with your aim, you want to try and feel that the putter isn't releasing as much, we'd probably go towards something where we'd be looking towards this mallet stroke there. Oof, not a bad putt. Again there, that felt like I actually healed that one and it still rolled out pretty well as I went through it. I think the blade's looking like the one for me at the moment, but the mallet, like I say, is giving you that extra alignment, that little bit more forgiveness, and giving me that toe hang that is going to be suited for a little bit more of a less arc stroke, a less releasey stroke as we're going through. Let's take a look at the third and final putter and see what benefits that would have to offer your putting game. Okay, so the third and final style that we've seen very much come to the forefront of putting over probably the last 5 or 10 years now is more of these futuristic style looking putters. They look quite big. To some people, they almost look a bit offensive. They look quite clumsy when we put them down. We're not keen at looking at this sort of style when we do, and that's probably someone who's going to be looking at that blade putter. But for a lot of people, it offers real assurance. They think, you know, ultimate forgiveness, really helping me with my aid, a little bit heavier generally so I can feel it in my hands, I can feel that putter, and it really makes them feel comfortable. So this is the putter that would be aimed at those 3 categories. Like we said before, personal preference, when you look down, that's totally up to you. Does it look good in your hands? Does it feel good? But then in terms of what we're looking for characteristic wise, this is going to provide maximum forgiveness, it's going to give us maximum aim, and with the stroke, what we would see here when we toe hang it, there's hardly any toe hang at all there. For someone who wants to try and keep the face squarer, who isn't quite in control maybe of that club face and don't feel like they can get it where they want to, this one is going to try and keep it as square as possible for you as you're going through it. So if you're looking for that in your putter, you're looking for real alignment help, something like this where we've got the line down the middle here, then the 2 fangs and the sort of slot here, I know that I can position my golf ball in the middle there as I'm stood to it, I can get the 2 dots, the lines lined up. And for me now, knowing that this face is going to stay pretty square, I would feel confident that I can make a pretty decent putt there. And that's probably why this putter is in my bag most of the time. So when we look at the alignment features of something like the futuristic putter, we can see more of the line here. We've got the channel with the 2 fangs here where the ball's sitting in between. We can see a lot of weight placed out towards the outside the perimeter of the golf club, and it's just going to keep that face really square as we're going through it. So it's something that as you look down on it, it really inspires confidence. With that slightly bigger head, it makes me feel I've got a slightly bigger sweet spot. Also knowing that I'm aligned correctly now and I've got that square face really would help whoever it is with rolling that ball better and trying to hit more of the middle and keep the putter going where we want to throughout the stroke. So guys, those are 3 types of putters there. So if you are looking for minimalistic, no fuss, you want a little bit of toe hang, go bladed. If you're looking for a little bit of help and you're trying to keep the face a little bit squarer and you want a bit of forgiveness, mallet's probably where you want to sit. Then if you're looking for that ultimate forgiveness, you want to try and keep the face as square as possible and you need help with that alignment, try and look at something like more of the futuristic designs that are going to offer all those things. Guys, I hope that's cleared a few things up for you and help you pick the right putter for your game. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to always subscribe down below for your free golf lessons, and I'll see you in your next lesson.